Hello, this is Amanda Ringfeld summarizing uh, the article that I read about student-centered learning through blended learning. I actually read a chapter from a book, chapter 11, and the title of this was Designing Blended Learning Space to the Student Experience by Andrew J. Milne. So the argument within this chapter is that learning spaces must be student-centered as well, not just creating a curriculum that is student-centered with the use of technology. So again, learning spaces must be student-centered in both the technological and physical sense. And this requires that the design process of the physical space and both the virtual space is fluid in that it's always changing and adapting, and that it also involves student input. So in order to start this process, it's important for designers, so both technology experts, teachers, administrators, even architects, if there's a new space that's being built, develop a realistic, detailed sense of the student experience. And there are a couple trends within education, specifically today's generation of teenagers and college students that we can see when it comes to technology. The first thing is that classrooms are not the only form of learning space. In fact, as you know, we have acknowledged at JT with the blended learning program, a lot of learning happens outside of the formalized classroom setting. Social interaction is a growing part of learning. Collaboration, working in groups. Technology is natural for today's students and that they have grown up with technology and using it comes very easily to them. Learning can occur out of sequence, so the traditional linear format of education is not necessarily the way that things need to happen. Students can take greater control over the order in which they learn things and the pace at which they learn things, and then students construct content rather than just consuming it. So this involves being able to, for example, create a video and post it to YouTube. So what this means for learning spaces. This means that learning is becoming more social and informal and less structured. So the space in which students learn can move away from the more formalized classroom setting and can be, again, in a more informal environment. Learning space design should seek to provide freedom of access and interaction with peers. So again, both the physical and the virtual design of learning spaces needs to promote the collaboration and interaction, and then also allow students to access material and content easily. And the other thing to consider here is that creative opportunities lie at the interface between the virtual and physical worlds. So informal learning spaces are becoming essential to the educational process for a number of reasons. One, because of the widespread wireless access to campus network and online resources. So spaces are necessary for students to be able to take advantage of these resources. Increasing student laptop ownership. So as students, and especially in a district as ours, which is one-to-one, as students all have laptops, they need a space, both physical and virtual, to be able to take advantage of this technology in the best way possible. And then also the realization that a majority of learning activities take place outside of the formal classroom environments, which we've already discussed. So some considerations as these informal learning spaces are designed. One, personal elements must be a focus of the design process. So what this means is that designers need to take into consideration the people who are going to be using the technologies, as well as like the physical items that are present within these learning spaces, including furniture and access to chargers, and even those kinds of details are important. So it's important to think about how people will actually not only interact with each other within these spaces, but also interact with the physical elements, and how it can be designed in a way that makes it easier and more manageable and more worthwhile for them. Student involvement should be maximized in planning these spaces. So student input is very important since they're the ones that are going to be using these learning spaces. Emphasize an interactive learning experience. So again, both a physical and virtual makeup of these learning spaces need to foster interactive learning. And also, flexible learning spaces remain permanently unfinished. So as these spaces are developed, they are never completely finished because they need to adapt both with the students and also with increases in technology.